5 people who died following interaction with a UFO. There have been countless claims of UFO sightings and abductions over the years, some more credible than others. Most alleged experiencers survive their otherworldly experience largely unharmed. In some cases, however, whatever was encountered resulted in the deaths of those who seemed to have gotten a little too close for their own good. 5. The Guara Peringa Reservoir Man. Perhaps one of the goriest UFO encounters to have resulted in the death of an individual was that of the Guara Peringa Reservoir Man, whose wounds were more akin to those discovered on mutilated cattle than anything else. His body was discovered in Guara Peringa Reservoir in Brazil in 1988. Although tests indicated that he had been dead for at least 48 hours, possibly longer, there were no signs of decomposition or decay. Much like in cases of cattle mutilations, the man's ears, eyes, and tongue had been neatly removed, and his body completely drained. He also had various but very precise cuts of skin and tissue taken from around his body. His genitals had also been removed. 4. Abel Burrow. The area around Peringa, Brazil was seemingly terrorized in October 1981 by strange, flying craft called chupas by the locals. Descriptions of these airborne objects varied. Some people described them as rectangular and almost resembling a standard home fridge unit that shot out beam-like searchlights over the land they flew over. The craft that Abel Burrow and his friend Rivamar Ferreira witnessed, however, was circular and spinning within itself and featured lights bright enough to make night seem like midday. The spinning object began to descend on Burrow, a bright, glittering glow appearing to envelope his body. Ferreira ran to Burrow's home to summon help. When he returned with members of his friend's family, Burrow was dead, his body completely white and drained of blood. 3. Carl Hunrath and Wilbur Wilkinson. In November 1953, UFO investigators Carl Hunrath and Wilbur Wilkinson took off in a rented plane from Gardena County Airport in California on a bright sunny day. Their mission, according to their records, was to fly to a remote part of the Golden State Desert and to meet extraterrestrials who had contacted them psychically. Whether the two men did meet up with representatives from this mystery alien race is obviously very much open to debate. What isn't, however, is the fact that neither the men nor the plane they were flying were ever seen or heard from again. Extensive searches failed to retrieve even a scrap of wreckage that might suggest a plane crash. Interestingly, the FBI was particularly interested in the pair's activities in the months before their deaths, perhaps because Hunrath's claims of having invented a device that could cause any military aircraft to fall from the sky. 2. 7 killed in India by UFOs. According to an article that ran in the Victoria Advocate in August 2002, UFOs were attacking residents in Lucknow, India, which resulted in the deaths of 7 people. Both disc-shaped crafts and strange ball-like objects that moved extremely quickly with bright lights flashing from them were reported. There were also further reports of a much larger craft being seen that was shaped like an insect and was so big it could be seen clearly from 80 kilometers away. Over the several days that the UFOs were present, 7 people died. All of them had injuries similar to electrocution. Even more bizarre is that in one particular 16-kilometer radius, over 20 people simply vanished. Their whereabouts are still unknown. 1. João Prestes Filho. In the small village of Acaringuama, Brazil, in March 1946, João Prestes Filho burst into the house he shared with his sister. Distressed and in shock, he stated that he had been returning from a fishing trip when he noticed a strange craft flying overhead. Suddenly, the object shot out a beam of light that struck him in the leg. Several hours later, Filho had fallen quite ill, and the leg wound had worsened to the point where the skin and flesh was coming away from the bone, as if his leg had been boiled for some time in hot water. By the time he reached the hospital, the young man had died. The cause of his death is still not known. While some suggested that he may have been struck by lightning, the weather on the evening in question was warm and clear.